Hello, my name is Marley and welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I'm going to be doing my September wrap up where I talk about all of the books that I read in the month of September. This month I managed to read 10 books, which is my best yet this year. I think I read 10 books in July or one other month, so I was able to match my best number, so that's really exciting for me. And a lot of these books I talked about in like reading vlogs that are on my channel, so I'll mention those whenever applicable and I will link them below, so definitely go check those out for even more details on these books. But let's just get into it. So the first book that I read in September was for my reading books about Redhead's vlog, and this one was called The Unidentified Redhead by Alice Clayton. This is about a 33-year-old woman named Grace who recently moved back to Los Angeles to pursue her acting career. She tried it out when she was younger, but it didn't work out, so it's been I think like 10 years and now she's back. So through her friend Holly, who is a talent agent, she meets the up-and-coming hunk 24-year-old Jack Hamilton and they begin a love affair. So basically this is a romance between the two of them and it is very smutty and very steamy. So to be candid, I did not enjoy this book that much. I'm not really into books that are really focused on sex scenes and don't really have as much of a plot. However, if you are into those kinds of books, you may like this because the main couple was pretty cute. I definitely can admit that. And I'll also mention that the book came out about 10 years ago, so it is a little bit outdated with a lot of the references and things, which was just another thing that sort of bothered me while reading it. So you could probably check out this author's like more recent reads, but this was not one for me, so I will not be checking out more of her work. Another book I read for that same vlog was The Redhead by the Side of the Road by Anne Tyler. So this was a relatively short book and not too much happened in it. We basically are following the life of a middle-aged man named Micah. He has a pretty uneventful life. He lives in a basement apartment and really sticks to his routine of being like a handyman slash like tech guy. And he does have a girlfriend, so he's got that going for him. But one day this young man shows up. He's about I think 18 or 20, and he is claiming that Micah is his father. But Micah knows right away that he is not because he never had sex with the guy's mom. They just dated in college, but they never actually slept together. So he immediately knows he's not his actual father, which personally I found to be a bit of a disappointment. I went into this thinking it was a story about like a father and son, and it was not. But because of meeting this boy and getting back in touch with his ex-girlfriend, he does start to like rethink things about his life and like reflect on like why that relationship didn't work out, for example, and why his current relationship is having so many problems. So I actually really did enjoy reading this because the writing was really good and I really liked the character of Micah, even though he is like a middle-aged man. I did find him to be relatable. I guess like the introvertedness of him. But yeah, not too much of like a plot or story here, honestly. Another book that I read for my Redhead vlog was The Rosie Project by Graeme Simison. And this is a Australian romantic comedy that follows Don, who is a genetics professor, and he also doesn't have too much of a life. Like he doesn't have a girlfriend or any sort of love life. He is on the spectrum but doesn't know it, so he struggles with communicating with people a lot, especially women. One day he's inspired to start the Wife Project, where he creates this 16-page long survey to give out to women to see if they would be a potential mate for him. And as you can imagine, this does not have very good results, and he ends up getting introduced to Rosie, who completely defies everything in his survey of what he wants. Like she's, I think, smokes, she doesn't have like a super good like scientific or math related job, all of that stuff, but he's super drawn to her and ends up helping her with her dad project where she's trying to find out her biological father. So him and Rosie just team up to sort of find out who her biological father is, trying to get DNA results without all of these men knowing all of the potential guys that could be her father. father. It was a really fun read. I definitely liked the adventure and the mystery of trying to find out who Rosie's dad was. I was very interested in that, and I like seeing the dynamic or the contrast between Don and Rosie, as he is like more of like an uptight person and very routine based, whereas Rosie is just a lot more like carefree. This was a bit hard to get into, but once I was really into it and I really enjoyed it. Now, the final book I read for that video was The Selection by Kiera, and then I did end up finishing the trilogy, so then I read The Elite and The One after that. So in case you don't know, the Selection series is a very widely popular YA dystopian series, and it's basically like The Bachelor but in a dystopian setting. So there's like this caste system in place within North America, or the new North America, which they call Ilia or something like that, and our main character, ironically enough, named America, is a 5, so she's kind of in the middle on the caste system. And the kingdom ends up having a selection, which is basically a competition to try and win Prince Maxon's heart and become the princess and eventually the queen. So they do kind of like a random draw of girls across the country, and of course America gets picked, and we are just sort of seeing her experience throughout this competition. She is not super excited for it because, you know, she's a little bit not like other girls, and I don't know, just isn't as like excited about the prospect of being queen. And she also has like a lover back home, so she isn't really over him enough to like go for the prince right away. Anyways, I found this book so entertaining. They come across as like very short, very easy to read, and like addicting. I know a lot of people have called it like trash or like a book version of junk food, and that's definitely what they were. The first book was definitely my favorite. That's when I found America and Maxon to be the cutest, and I liked seeing their friendship develop. The other 2 books I still enjoyed and still flew through, but definitely not as good as the first book. But overall, I would really recommend this series if you just have been avoiding it or something. I also heard that Netflix is adapting a movie, so you might want to watch it before the movie. I know that's what I wanted to do, and I'm actually super pumped for the movie. Next on my list of books that I completed was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain, a very popular book, especially because there was a Netflix adaptation of it that also came out in September. Yes. So I read this book with my boyfriend. We shared reading pages out loud to each other, and it was a really fun experience because it is a thriller, and we were able to like discuss everything that was happening as it happened and like theorize. And basically, you guys have probably heard about it, but it's about this girl, this young woman, who is going to visit her boyfriend's parents at their like farm, which is way like out of town. So it's the 2 of them driving there, and she's thinking of ending things, aka thinking of breaking up with him. And there's a lot of like inner like monologue flashbacks throughout their relationship, and there's just this very like ominous tone because there's a lot of weird things going on, and it's definitely like a psychological thriller that I highly recommend, even though a lot of people are not fans of this book, and I guess I can see why, but I personally loved it, and I was sort of figuring out what was happening throughout, so I was never really confused. A lot of people say they're really confused. I wasn't that confused. I feel like if you're paying attention, you can figure it out, or you can kind of read what other people say about it after. So yeah, I highly recommend, but do not watch the movie. They completely changed the overall story and overall point of the movie and made a completely different thing entirely. So don't watch the movie if you like the book, and if you watch the movie and didn't like it, give the book a chance still, because the book's way better and way different. Now we get to the books that I read for the Buzz Wordathon, which I have a vlog up about as well. The first one was The Night Swim by Megan Goldin. So this is another emotional and psychological thriller that I'm sure you guys have probably seen around. It's about a woman named Rachel who's an investigative reporter, and now she has started her own podcast that has gotten super popular, where she talks about crimes and like solves unsolved crimes kind of thing. And so this is her 3rd season, and she's focusing it on something different this time. She's focusing it on a rape that happened in this town and reporting on the trial like live as it happens. Then we also have another story going on where there is a woman named Hannah who is leaving letters for Rachel, begging her to take on the case of Hannah's sister's death, which happened I think 25 years ago, and it was never solved. It sort of seems like it was a cover-up or something. And so we're getting flashbacks to that timeline as well through her letters, if you get what I'm saying. I'm just like speaking so fast here. So yeah, both of these stories are going on, and it's kind of like, is there a connection between the two? Because they are both in the same town. It is not a super suspenseful read. Like, I've definitely read like scarier, more suspenseful books. It's kind of just like a mystery, and then there are like upsetting things going on, obviously, as it deals with a rape, as I said, and murder and just abuse, right? So definitely be aware of that. Trigger warnings for like sexual assault for sure, and it did get to be a bit graphic at times, so yeah, be aware of that. But I give it 4 out of 5 overall. Would definitely recommend. The second last book I read was Emma in the Night. This was also for Buzzwordathon, and I enjoyed this book so much. It was such a wild ride. It's basically about these 2 sisters who go missing when they're in high school, and 3 years later one of the sisters shows back up without the other one, and she's telling the FBI and the parents about what happened to her and her sister all of these years that they've been gone. And we also see the POV of one of the FBI agents who is trying to figure out, you know, if she's telling the truth or not, and get to the bottom of like what's going on in this family. We're also getting flashbacks to seeing what led up to their disappearance 3 years ago. I don't want to say too much more than that, but this is again more of like a psychological thriller. The twists at the end were amazing, and that's all I'm gonna say. I think I gave it 4 out of 5, but I might even say like 5 out of 5 right now, because it was just so gripping. And finally, we get to the last book I recently just finished, so technically it was like the 1st or 2nd of October, but oh well. And this is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. So this was a really popular book a while ago. It's about Eliza, who has a web comic that is super popular, like millions of followers, and it is her life, making updates for her fans and engaging with them and everything, but she keeps her identity a secret for her safety. And also, you know, she's very like introverted. She doesn't really have any real life friends, it's just online. And then a boy shows up at school who is a fan of her webcomic Monstrous Sea, and they start having a friendship and romance, and he is actually a fan fiction writer of her story, and things progress from there. Basically, I was in love with this book. I found it so relatable, like Eliza's character, and it was a super like easy, fun read to get through. So I would definitely recommend it if you are someone who's like, you know, more introverted and into fandom, and you want to like relate to something, and if you're into books that have to do with family as well. That was a big theme. So I'm just gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know any thoughts that you have in the comments, and please subscribe to see more of my videos and watch all of those like reading vlogs that I mentioned too. This is me, Marley, and I am logging off. I don't know what to say then, like ever. Bye.